Risk Committee meeting open for the 4th of February 2025. We have a record of attendance and apologies. Don't think we have any. No leave of absence. No response to public question time. No public questions. No petitions, deputations, presentations, submissions. We've had the confirmation of the minutes of the Audit Risk Committee meeting held on the 17th of October 2024. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please?
Happy to move.
Mover, thanks, Catherine. Seconder. Thanks, Stephen. All those in favour? Thank you. It's unanimous. Item 7, reports of the officers. 7.1, adoption of the 23-24 Shire Brishock annual report. Mr. Furr.
Through the Chair, thank you very much. The agenda item is provided and a copy of the annual report has been provided also. Before I just touch on a couple of main points, can I please bring to your attention that actually on the officers' recommendation 1 and 2, we have just changed the location. The third bullet point at the second recommendations originally stated in the council chambers for the convening the annual electors meeting. That has been revised to the Shire Hall. And that is already amended on the documentation. And also within the audit, within the annual report, which was served to the committee with the annual financials in that, there was just an error. I do apologise, and it was just referenced the re-election dates for Councillor Crooks, represented as 2027. It should be 2025, and Councillor Hodgkiss was 2025 and should be 2027. That has been amended. Just wanted to bring that to attention before we go forward. Okay.
I'm happy to go with 2027 if you want.
To the Chair, I'd love it to be 2027, Tony, but the two components of the annual report, obviously the front reflections of all the social and economic and other information associated, primarily, and one of the reasons why we're meeting today is to do with the annual financials and the audit that was undertaken. I'd like to note that the Manager of Finance in the first instance oversaw that audit, bearing in mind that the previous Manager of Corporate Services had left. So I'll just commend Mike for the work that was done there. There was no outstanding, it was an unqualified audit, which was great, a clean audit. However, there was one item, significant item to note in the sense that the carry forward figure, which was adopted a budget of 2,572. It was a variant of 215,000, which meant that there was a deficit to the budget of $215,000, 2.572 versus 2.787. I wish to reassure the committee that through our budget review process, we have already address that, and that will be reflected in February when we present budget review to council. So that matter there has been addressed. There are information. I took the liberty of putting some key takeaways from the annual financials in there, and happy to take questions. And then the management letter, the meetings that we had with the Shire President, myself, and the Manager of Finance, there were some items that were identified. I'm just getting back to item 1. It was encouraging to note that there was no significant findings throughout the audit, which is always encouraging. And 2 of the findings were moderate and 3 were minor. The first one being a review of policies and procedures. information and technology policies and procedures were identified. There needed to be, there was an absence of IT policies, and recommendations was that those policies should be developed and implemented along with procedures, alongside an IT-related strategy, as well as with that, an IT disaster recovery plan. The Shire was very quick to respond to that, and the IT disaster recovery plan was approved on the 1st of October, and that item was addressed. And again, happy to take any questions as they arise regarding those points. The second item was regarding the cyber security assessment. The fact that the Shire at the time, we did not have a cyber security response plan, IT risk register in place, really evaluating the cyber security issues, considering, and from that, obviously there's potential implications for a hack and a risk. Recommendations were for a risk assessment and an IT security controlled environment, and obviously work to upgrade our ICT competence to be at the level 8, the essential 8 standings, which is basically firewall switches and various other means that enables our ICT support services to prevent any attacks coming through, or at least so far as reasonably practical. Our response to that, in acknowledging that deficit, we are working with our ICT provider, but also in mentioning that as well, we are part of a government-funded cybersecurity pilot program. So over the next 12 months, the Shire of Bruce is working with various different individuals, departments, and will develop its cybersecurity to hopefully one of best practice, hence being part of the pilot. Our responsibility associated being part of that process is that we can share our experiences and our knowledge, and we've already had a couple of meetings associated with that process and that pilot project that's going on. Item 3 that was identified, credit card exceptions. The rating was minor. It was regarding, there was, in fact, I may hand over to the manager of finance if he just wants to touch base on that particular one. Again, a minor rating associated with that.
Chair, but yeah, the issue was one particular invoice had an individual's name on it as well as the Shire's. It's a supplier we no longer use since that time, and we're undertaking a review of all creditors to ensure that this doesn't happen again.
Item 4, a payroll exception. The rating for this was minor. Once there was sample testing on the internal controls for terminated employees, it did identify that there was one employee's departure not completed on a timely basis. That was followed up, and whilst verbal notice was given, we've followed up and secured the writing, the formal notification, so that able to address that quite quickly. Item 5, excess leave balances. The audit found that there were 3 out of 34 employees that had leave balances in excess of 8 weeks. We have acknowledged that, and we will work through to reduce those leave balances with those individuals. Interesting to note, though, that the current award that we are prevents us and prevents the opportunity from being able to cash out that excessive leave. We will be working proactively with those individuals to reduce those liabilities as we progress. So look, that's just a very brief overview of the items. It's interesting to note that there was very, very minimal pickup on the financials, which is testament to the finance team. And the other items, just assurances to the committee that we are working diligently to address if we haven't done so already.
No, I'll ask a question just with leave balances. Is there what is the standard? Like, what do they recommend, that there is no leave balance at the end of the year, or that you can carry a week?
Through the chair, there's always the reality that there is, most employees have 4 weeks leave, etc., and there is an expectation especially when you look at the health and well-being of employees, that they're actually being managed and they're managed time to that. Of course, there are other circumstances, whether it be short staffing or other matters that prevent people. They might be saving up leave for a longer period. It is preferred, and it's endemic of management principle in actually making sure that staff take their leave so they're well rested and come back. So I think the certainly auditors. I don't think there's an organisation that I've worked in where people haven't had excess leave balances. This has been a particular focus in this particular area. And of course, if you do have excessive leave liabilities, along with other employee provisions, of course, they move into the next financial year and they continue to increase. So the intent is always to reduce those provisions.
I feel like that will always be something that is a minor thing.
And I think it comes down to
organisation having to.
Yeah, but I think it's about, from a management perspective, just making sure being across, and certainly from my perspective, getting a quarterly return to see what the leave balances are for individuals, and then just having conversations either with the manager or the individual themselves to discuss. And I know that those individuals have been spoken to, certainly with an intent to reduce those leave balances over the next 12 months.
Any other questions, comments for Mr. Furr?
Through the chair, it really just a comment and a question. First of all, thank you very much for those involved with the key takeaways. I found that very useful. And there was one question out of that, the employee cost 3.11.
Stephen, we'll just need to get you to start again. Sorry, technical difficulties. If you just want to, can remember what you just said.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, it's good now. Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for the key takeaways list there. I found that very useful. One question on the employee costs of 3.11, is that say a gross figure, including their taxable income and super? Is that a complete number?
The figure employee provisions, that is, your question, does that include GST, did you say, or that's the total provisions, the whole?
So that's everything included, Mark?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely,
including super.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's in the annual financials.
Thanks, Stephen. There's no other comments or questions. We have a recommendation, 1 and 2. I guess we're moving as a whole. I won't read it all. It's in front of you. Is there someone that would like to move that recommendation?
Yeah, happy to move, President.
Thanks, Stephen. Do I have a seconder? Thanks, Catherine. Sorry, Catherine's got in. Sorry, Johnny. All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. It's unanimous. No new business of an urgent nature, and no confidential items. So I'd like to close this meeting at 2:57. Thank you all for your attendance.